Welcome, and thank you for joining our virtual Made in Paint show brought to you by the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation and presented at the SAG Gallery at Golden Artist Colors in New Berlin, New York. Early in 2020, we were setting up for all of our plans for our Made in Paint exhibition from the residents that joined us in 2019, as we had done for the last 8 years. The exhibition was beautifully hung by James Walsh, our SAG Gallery director, the catalog all put to bed and ready for printing. All reservations were made and the celebration plans set, as well as planning for the weekend of festivities to begin the first week of April. 16 of the 18 artists were coming back to New Berlin to help us celebrate with so many of our local supporters. And then March hit, and COVID remade everyone's plans. COVID did more than disrupt these plans, it also created such a black cloud over everything. Yet, thankfully, all of our residents remained safe and healthy. COVID did something else for so many of us. It kicked us in the butt, and it made us less complacent with what was, to discover new ways of sharing with one another. So over the next 6 video sessions, we'll be presenting the work of these 18 incredible artists, 3 at a time. The artists that were selected to attend our residency were among the over 450 artists that applied to join us at the Golden Residency. I hope you enjoy our small, intimate, virtual celebration of their work. In this, our first virtual exhibit, we are sharing the work of Keri Kimura, Sophie Lourdes Knight, and Eryn O'Neill. Although our first residency session began while snow was still on the ground, we were warmly joined by 3 wonderful artists. The first artist we are presenting today is Keri Kimura. Keri is not unaccustomed to the cold, as she lives and works in Southwest Harbor in Maine. She studied painting at Smith College and did her master's work at the Glasgow School of Art in Scotland, as well as the New York Studio School. Her work has been exhibited in group shows in the United States. Keri's work, whether in abstracted landscape or in the case of the painting in our Made in Paint show titled Ellen or Alan, might feel more like a personal portrait than a landscape and is full of contrasting, discrete blocks. Not every block is a solid color. Some are quite painterly in execution, yet the work is built from back to front of solid form with little use of transparency. The effect is simply to get lost and tangled in the work, which I think is Keri's ambition, and in doing so requires us to take in the entire image, or one is apt to go a bit blurry. It's a delight to stand back from this painting and take it all in. Our second artist who joined us in our March program was Sophie Lourdes Knight. Sophie works in multiple visual art forms, including photography, sculpture, and painting. She's currently living and working in London, where she is pursuing her MFA at the Slade School of Fine Art. She has had solo shows in LA, Boston, as well as multiple group shows in the States and the UK. Sophie's painting in the show is emblematic of the symbolic nature of her imagery. From the painting titled Midnight Sunday, we understand it as a representation of a night sky where each star has become more luminous, contrasting it from a snowy scene on the ground. But clearly these passages are ambiguous and could represent a different personal shorthand. I'm not sure it matters, as she has completely deconstructed the scene into a wonderful composition as we enjoy the movement of the paint across the surface that almost feels like a script. Finally, we would like to present the work of Eryn O'Neill. Eryn continues to work and live in her native Canada. She received her MFA from the University of Waterloo in Canada. She's had numerous solo and group shows. Eryn is clearly a dedicated landscape painter. The metaphor to all her work is tied to her love of running, as we see in the acrylic on panel titled Running Route. As an avid runner, she often encounters the obstacles that might block a runner's path, and then she stops and allows us in. The images she puts together on her runs become the imagery of her paintings, and the ones that others might typically overlook that really seem to excite her. A bit of brilliant color from a snow fencing, or a light reflecting off a glass or rainy roadway. Her running clearly gives us a poignant access to these places off limit. Thank you so much for joining us on our virtual tour. And please visit thegoldenfoundation.org for more information on these artists. We look forward to you joining us once again as we share the work of 3 other artists in our Made in Paint exhibition.